Hey guys, welcome back to the new video in our meta-analysis series. In this video, I'm going to explain to you how exactly you begin with the topic and then narrow down your research question in order to begin your meta-analysis. In addition to it, I will also show you practically what tools are used and how exactly you can begin working on your meta-analysis part. So let's begin by understanding our process of narrowing down the research question. So suppose I have a very high level question and I need to go to lower level in order to start and understand my research. So my high level question could be how we put on muscles or how we put on a muscle. So this can be a very high level question because there will be too many factors like protein, exercise, and another things like how much consistently you are working out. Various factors could be involved in this one, and this is actually something when you ask on a general level and tell to someone that you are working on this research question when the person is actually not working in the defined area where you are working in. So it's just to introduce. Now it comes to medium level. So how exactly I segment this or narrow it down? So it could be like how can we put on muscle faster? What exercises shall be done? So this is more narrowed down that I am actually narrowing down based on the exercises. So what exercises I need to do? I have cut out the nutrition part, the training hours or other factors, but I am focusing more on towards the exercises. It is still a little narrowed down because uh, I am talking about the exercises, so it comes to medium level. Now I can further narrow it down by saying how can okay instead of how can I should write different terminology. So just give me a second. Which body part to train in order to get muscle faster and which exercise need to be done and how much time will it take. So it is more narrowed down. Now I'm talking about the specific exercise, specific body part, and a specific amount of time involved in getting through it. So there would be more research available on this high level. There would be a little less on the medium level, and then when it comes to lower level there would be only specific studies involved. So when we begin with the meta analysis, the best is to start with the medium level. It is best to start with this level because at this level there would be more studies involved. You have a better knowledge of the high level that is in general available, as well as you will have more studies. So if you have more studies, then it is get easier to find the empirical gap, which is the objective of meta-analysis. So let's move to the next part and talk about the further process of going through it. Let me add a new board. So now that you have figured out at the medium level what your research question will be, then at that point of time you need to find out the studies. So you need to dig out the studies. So find studies would be your first step. And there is like you don't have to find all the studies which are available or something like that, but you need to find in a specific way there should be something involved in this story. So suppose I have find out several studies, I will make sure that my dependent variable is same. Independent can be anything, but for meta-analysis it is essential your dependent variable is consistent among across the study. So I write dependent variable consistency. So in another is that you need to find out what type of population being studied in the paper. So the population should be homogeneous. If it would be homogeneous, it would get very easy to actually find the empirical gap. So homogeneous population. Now what does it mean by homogeneous population being studied? It could be different factors such as age, gender. There should be not a discrepancy. So some study is doing only about a female gender or male gender. Those studies should be avoided. Rather, they should be more general. All the studies should be focusing on homogeneous population and not a specific target. Then it get more easier to find out the empirical. And the last thing you need to decide before starting with the meta-analysis on this is, are there enough studies? So you have decided your middle level question, but you did not find the similar studies happening for the similar dependent variable. So you need to find out if there are more studies on your paper available, if are there enough studies available in order to go through the meta-analysis part and all together. And if the answer to all these three questions is yes, then you can begin your journey with the meta-analysis, and then it gets easier to actually work on further. So let me add a new board and show you exactly what are the steps involved in the next stages. So by now you understand that you need to find out empirical studies. Just write it down also at the same time. So you know, right, you have to find empirical studies and make sure all the variables are consistent, homogeneous population is there, and there are more studies across the topic for empirical analysis. Now these empirical studies, in this also there is a way literature review is done, and that is what we are doing. In meta-analysis, the literature review part is different as compared to other. So there are three ways of doing literature review. One is narrative, where you actually talk about what has happened in the form of studies and what exactly where we stand, what our previous research says on this topic. This is also known as traditional review, and usually these days traditional review is not much done. The practice is getting less as compared to other ways of reviewing. The other way of reviewing, systematic review. In systematic review, you have a process of finding out the relevant studies via inclusion and exclusion method, and then with this you will understand that these papers are more relevant to my topic as compared to other. So that's a systematic review. Then there is another way of doing a review, which is meta-analysis, and this is where we are actually standing right now. So meta-analysis is where you focus on empirical studies. Now empirical studies are basically those studies which study something quantitatively and find out what exactly the results are. So focusing on these empirical studies, you find out empirical gap, and that is what the perspective of literature review when you follow the meta-analysis approach, which we are studying right now. So for doing a meta review, uh, you need a keyword also, right? So when you search for the papers which involve meta-analysis, you need to find out those papers basically where a meta-analysis as a keyword is available. This will give you more information. So when you search for something, probably if your topic is about fintech adoption, then you write fintech adoption star a meta review analysis or meta analysis. Now what this will do, this will find out all the papers which actually talks about your topic as well as has meta analysis involved in it. Right? Let me add a new word for the more understanding. So now let's come to the selection part of it. So when you actually find relevant articles related to your empirical studies on the topic you're working on, after that you need to actually screen through that or decide a particular strategy for selection of those articles. So how exactly you specify? So there could be a time related factor. In addition to it, there could be factor which are basically directly addressing to your topic. So suppose it thing which is not directly addressing to your topic, you can actually reject that part of it. Now, another is there should be a hypothesis. All the research papers basically prove a particular hypothesis or reject a particular hypothesis based on the sample size and their area of study and their findings. So that hypothesis should be relevant to your topic, and then there should be same dependent variable. You can add more factors like geographical condition or something, but that is where uh, something as an exclusion and inclusion criteria which you would like to, but I'm telling in general a specific timeline is used, then directly addressing your research question, those type of studies are more included. Those who have clear hypothesis are included, and more important, those should have similar or same dependent variable to your topic of research. Those studies should be included. This is your inclusion and exclusion criteria. And this inclusion and exclusion criteria is similar to systematic review also. So in meta-analysis, when you select a study based on your inclusion and exclusion criteria, it is more or less similar to systematic review. However, we focus more toward the same dependent variable so that we can find the empirical gap. All right, let's move to the further process of it. So once you know that these are the studies which you have selected by exclusion and inclusion criteria, and you know they have same dependent variable, then in order to do further move in the process, we can use two ways of combining those studies. One is effect size, and the another one is selection bias. These two are the ways of finding out how find out the research gap. So when it comes to effect size, this actually can be divided into two further factors, which is random effect and another one is fixed effect. So the size is basically divided into these two. Now, first, before moving to random and fixed, let's talk about effect size only. So effect size is basically the descriptive statistics you check for the papers you have actually selected. For them, you need to find out the descriptive statistics. They must have done some descriptive statistics. For example, they must have their mean value. And if this mean value varies across studies, then you can say your mean the mean is average, or basically I should say mean is your effect size, because this is varying across studies. I know the studies are using different areas or populations, but if this is varying a lot, you can say this is your effect size. Now let's talk about random effect. So random effect is basically something which uses the distribution of true effect size. So what exactly the true effect size is? Reports the similar. You will understand what exactly true effect size means once I'll explain to you what is fixed effect size. I'll just add here effect, fixed effect size. Now this is what it is also known as common effect size, and I shall write down. This is just another name for this. But what does it actually means? That the results of studies are similar, but your standard error differ. That means similar mean, but your standard error differ. And when your standard error differ, we use fixed effect size model. Otherwise, we use your random effect size. And one second. And how exactly we determine that we need to use effect size? When you want to find out an empirical gap, it is the strategy proposed by other researchers for meta-analysis that you need to use a effect size. Just is that case that you need to find out whether you need to use random effect size or you need to use fixed effect size. Now if your studies have similar mean but different standard error, you need to use fixed effect, otherwise random effect. Alright, let me add a new board. Now that you understand that we need to use effect size, there is also other depicting probably the graphical method of doing meta-analysis, not the graphical method I should say, but rather the strategy. And this strategy involves two things. One is funnel plot and another one is forest plot. Now now you if you have seen in marketing or any type of funnel which involves sales funnel, probably in marketing they teach, where you have a top of the funnel where you put on lot of people coming to it via webinar, and after webinar they try to sell something or introduce you to more of their free stuff, and then further they try to email people, and then in addition in the last stage basically you get calls from their team. So that is their funnel, there is their sales funnel of their customers, basically I should write, that is their sales funnel. Similarly, we have a funnel plot in meta analysis where exactly at the top there would be uh, this actually, let's talk about first where exactly this is this applies. So this applies when the standard error size is minimal. So at the top of the plot we have studies where sample size and standard errors are large. So your mu and your standard error are large, similar to the sales plot I talk about, where exactly at the top of the funnel you want more customers, free registration basically they use in order to have more of customers. Similarly, we have mu and standard error at very large when you are in the first stage. Then in the next stage it would be smaller, and then it goes smaller, and at the last part of the funnel you have mu and SC which are very small, and this is for all the studies. So this is how exactly your funnel plot look like. Now about forest plot, this actually plot lot of similar studies together with their confidence interval and SA standard error, and they it actually a forest, we say forest plot because it combines lot of studies all together. So that's how it looks like. Let me take you to the my desktop and show you exactly how they look like. So I'll go to my Brave browser and I'll see funnel plot. So this is how exactly you make a funnel plot. And so I can't increase that, yeah, but see, lower risk of bias, higher risk of bias. Now these studies have been put up with the risk associated, because there would be selection bias also. We will only select the studies which have a significant effect on the dependent variable, and we might reject the studies which are does not have a significant effect on the variable as per our requirement, and that's why there would be bias involved also. So this is how actually uh, funnel plot looks like. So at the top there would be lot of studies with higher mean and standard error, which you can see, and then when you keep on moving, it could keep on falling down, right? So if you see here, we started with basically the higher level, and then we kept on moving. Okay, now I'll show you what the forest plot look like. So I said forest plot actually put lot of studies together. So this is what exactly it look like. I'll explain in the upcoming videos how you calculate the odds ratio and plot this up, but this is how exactly it looks like. So it combining a lot of studies, observed studies on effect sizes, study weights, and then confidence interval, which I mentioned would be there. Then effect size data is there, and different studies have been plotted and pulled together. So that is how actually your effects have come up. Now I'll show you which software actually used for the meta-analysis, and it's a free software. You don't have to pay for this software. This is JASP. So we generally use JASP for actually doing the meta-analysis part of any study, and this is completely free. You just need to download and start. In addition to JASP, now there is one more uh, good part is you have another workbook which is being published, and it is Excel meta-analysis essential. You just need to write this down, and then you go to Erasmus, the first link. They are actually putting up research support and helping people out there in working on meta-analysis. So here you just need to, okay, I'll just increase the size. Yeah, here you need to go to download section of Meta Essentials, and this is Meta Essential Workbook. You just need to download this workbook, and when you download it, you will see that there would be lot of sections involved. So these kind of sections will come up, and in these kind of section you will find you need to mention the study, the sample size and standard outcome, then your standard error basically, and your confidence interval. And once you add all these, the Excel will calculate this for you, this type of graphics. Basically it will calculate your for you forest plot, it will make funnel plot for you automatically. Just you need to feed out the data you have collected. It will create for you the selection bias also. So you just need to download this Meta Essential Workbook, and you need to just find out the stuff. There would be user manual also associated with this, and I have already downloaded this. So you just need to download, and in the upcoming videos I'll teach you how exactly to use that also. So that is one thing. Another thing which I just wanted to take your um, take your interest in, like explain to you, is there would be publication bias also, which we already talked about, and that is selection bias also coming up because we selected the studies relevant to our topic and having a significant effect. So that is also get calculated in these sheets only. There would be one more worksheet when you download this in the Excel file, which talks about the publication bias and calculating selection bias for us. So yeah, I think that is all for this video. I will see you in the next one, and I'll explain to you how exactly we can move further, and there will be more videos coming in the series on meta-analysis. All right, thank you and take care.